Hello students, welcome to English e-learning. Today we will study figures of speech. First of all, you must know what is figure of speech. A figure of speech is a poetic device which is used in a language to produce a greater effect on the reader or the listener. This figure of speech gives extra dimension to language by stimulating the imagination and evoking visual sensual imagery. Such language paints a mental picture in words. So, this is the definition of figures of speech. Actually, figure of speech is used in a sentence to embellish the language, to decorate the language, and it is done in a such a way that the reader feels excited after reading that poem or the literature. It provides clarity, freshness to expression. Even it strengthens the creative expression and it makes the language more graphic, pointed, and vivid. Now, we will study types of figures of speech. Figures of speech is based on two types. One is based on the literal meaning of the words, and other is based on the order of the words. Depending upon their types, one comes under tropes, other is schemes. In tropes, this plays with the literal meaning of words. Means we have to read the sentence, and depending on the meaning, that comes under tropes. In the schemes, it plays with the order of words, means it describes the arrangement of the words that comes under schemes. Now we will study different types under the points, tropes, and schemes. So, our first poetic device or figure of speech is metaphor. Metaphor. It is an implied comparison in which one thing is spoken of in terms of something else. The figurative term is substituted for or identified with the literal term. Metaphor describes an object or action in a way that isn't literally true, but it helps to explain an idea or it gives a comparison. It helps to compare one thing with the other thing. It equates two things, but both the things are not same, but they are compared with each other. You can see the example, the thunder was a mighty lion. Means thunder is compared with the power of a lion. Means lion's might is compared, means thunder is compared to mighty lion. Time is a thief. Actually, time is not a thief, but time cannot be compared. But here, metaphor describes or compares time with a thief. The classroom was a zoo. Zoo is a place where animals are kept, but the classroom is compared with the zoo. That is metaphor. Means one thing is described that is not actually the other thing, but it is both the things are equated and comparison is made. Okay, that is about the metaphor. Next poetic device or figure of speech we can say it is simile. A simile also compares two things. However, similes use the words like or as. Simile. This is also a type of comparison. Here, like is used or as is used. It's very easy to identify simile. Two things are compared and two words are used like or as. They fought like cats and dog. Means They means they, the people who are fighting, they fought. Like comparison is given with the cats and dogs. The tall girl stood out like a sore thumb. Girl's standing position is compared with a sore thumb. He worked like an ox in the field. The person's capability or the person is working hard. He worked like an ox. This is about the simile. Next figure of speech is personification. Personification gives human characteristics to inanimate objects, animals, or ideas. This can really affect the way the reader imagines things. It means in a sentence or in any poem or in any line, the poet or the author describes anything that is inanimate object. Maybe it is animal and it is non-living. It is described, its qualities are compared with human being as a person. That is personification. You can see the example, the sky misses the sun at night. The sky, if instead of the sky you write he misses the sun at night, or she misses the sun at night, you can say it is personification. The sky is personified, it just like a person. The radio suddenly stopped singing and stared at me. In this sentence, again, if you write she suddenly stopped singing and stared at me, instead of the radio, if you write she, it becomes like a person, and instead of she, it is the radio. It is known as personification. Opportunity knocks at the door but once. He knocks at the door but once. It is a correct sentence. Instead of he, it is opportunity. Means opportunity is assumed as a human being. It is given a quality of person, that is personification. Now next figure of speech is hyperbole. Hyperbole is an outrageous exaggeration that emphasizes a point. It tends towards the ridiculous or the funny. Hyperbole adds color and depth to a character. Hyperbole means it is exaggeration. Something is written in such a way that the statement is exaggerated. See the example, he cried so long that he made a lake. He cried so long. The person cried for a long time that he had made a lake, and that is totally impossible. Belinda smiled and the world was gay. A girl named Belinda, she smiled and the world was gay, means whole world was happy because of the smile of Belinda. That is hyperbole. I am so hungry I could eat a horse. And this example says that the person is so hungry that he can eat a horse. This is an example of hyperbole. Here statement is exaggerated, making more than that whatever is given. Next figure of speech is alliteration. Alliteration is a sound device. It is the repetition of the first consonant sounds in several words. It means in this alliteration, it is a sound effect, means after reading we can see the effect of the sound in every sentence. You can see there are some words whose initial first letters are same, even the sound effect is same, that comes under alliteration. You can see the example, Betty bought butter but the butter was bitter. Sound of B is coming in Betty bought butter but the butter was bitter. So Betty bought butter to make the butter better. All the words is having first letter B. Effect of B or B is in the sentence. This is known as alliteration. Next example is a strong man struggling with the storms of fate. Strong, S letter. Again, struggling, S letter. Storms, S letter. Means it comes under alliteration. So, alliteration is the repetition of first letter. When it is same, it is known as alliteration. Next figure of speech is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is also a sound device where the words sound like their meaning or mimic sounds. In this, when you read the word, you can feel the sound, and that sound comes to your mind, means you are listening that words. When you speak that word, that feeling comes to you. The burning wood hissed and crackled. This is example of onomatopoeia, means sound of the burning wood. Hissed, crackled means you can feel that. Buzz, whir, swish, hum, quack, meow. These are the words examples of onomatopoeia. The snake hisses in the bush. Again, the hisses. The snake hisses. It is onomatopoeia. You can feel the sound of snake. Next figure of speech is apostrophe. Apostrophe is addressing someone absent or dead or non-human, as if that person or thing were present. In this type of figure of speech, directly we are addressing to someone. You have seen in the poetries, sometimes it starts like that, you are addressing, or in any sentence. An example, blow, wind, blow. Here the poet addresses wind, and directly it is said, blow, winds, blow. Hello darkness, my old friend. Person is addressing to darkness, just like a human being. Hello darkness, my old friend, I have come to talk to you. This comes under apostrophe, means addressing to someone who is absent, or you can say who is non-human, or it is dead. Next figure of speech is symbolism. Symbolism occurs when a word has its own meaning but is used to represent something entirely different. Means when a word has its own meaning but it is representing something else which is totally different, but it is given the name other. You can see the example, using a chalkboard to represent education. Education is not actually chalkboard, but chalkboard is used to represent education. All the words are stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. This statement is a part of As You Like It. It is written by William Shakespeare. In this part, in this sentence, word and stage, two things are given. Stage and word remain same. They are symbolized. And players, these are the human beings who are on the earth. So the example, the stage here symbolizes the word. Players represent the human beings who are present in the world. Stage, players are there. In this world, human beings are there. And human beings play their main role on this earth. They take birth and one they die. Same way on the stage, people come, they enter and they play their part and they exit out of the stage. So this is about symbolism. Next figure of speech is oxymoron. Oxymoron is a figure of speech in which two opposite ideas are joined to create an effect. The common oxymoron phrase is a combination of an adjective preceded by a noun with contrasting meanings such as cruel kindness or living death. You can see in the example, cruel kindness. Actually, Cruel and kind is already opposite. Cruel, kindness is used. Living and death is used. This is made to make the sentence funny, and this is known as oxymoron. You can see in the example, all the politicians agreed to disagree. They have all agreed to disagree something. There was a love-hate relationship between two neighboring states. You can see love-hate, two opposite words are given, and these are given in a statement between two countries, neighboring countries. There was a relation of love and hate. So this is about oxymoron figure of speech. Next figure of speech is irony. Irony means saying one thing which meaning usually the opposite. Here it is an actually expression in a sentence in which the author's meaning is quite different, means actually it is opposite from the what is the mid-literal meaning is given in the sentence. While reading the sentence, meaning is opposite. It is made to make sentence funny. You can see in the example, the police station gets robbed. Police station is a place where the rules should be kept, but here police station gets robbed. The name of Britain's biggest dog was Tiny. These are the examples of irony sentence. Means meaning is whatever actually they write, meaning is different. Other figure of speech is pun. Pun is a play on words that produces a humorous effect by using a word that suggests two or more meanings, or by exploiting similar sounding words that have different meaning. The meaning of this pun is the words are used by the poet or the author, and there is manipulation of the word, and that statement has more meaning than one meaning. It gives many explanation. It brings humor in any expression. You can see in the example, time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. An elephant's opinion carries a lot of weight. Since these two statements are funny, what is the difference between a conductor and a teacher? The conductor minds the train and the teacher trains the mind. So pun is actually playing on words, means manipulation of the words is done to give different meaning. Next figure of speech is assonance. In assonance, it takes place when two or more words close to one another repeat the same vowel sound but start with different consonant sounds. Assonance, it is starting with the same vowel. In between, some words are there that sound effect is of vowel. We light fire on the mountain. It is starting with the different consonant sound. Light, fire. Here, but letter I is used. Light, fire. Sound of a vowel is more. Same vowel sound, it is assonance. I feel depressed and restless. Effect of E in the statement, it is example of assonance. Go and mow the lawn. Effect of O letter is given. O vowel sound is given, that is assonance. Next figure of speech is consonance. It refers to repetitive sounds produced by consonants within a sentence or phrase. This repetition often takes place in quick succession, such as in Peter, patter. Repetitive sound of any consonant in a sentence or in a phrase. You can see in the example, the Peter patter. Effect of T is given. Bearing his fangs. his claws. In this line, you can see the effect of S sound, his, fangs, his, claws. Here, effect of S sound is there, and that is an example of consonance. In the next line, she ate 7 sandwiches on a sunny Sunday last year. Effect of S sound is again in the second line. It is an example of consonants. In the third example, you can see Shelley sells shells by the seashore. This is also an example of consonant sound. So consonance is actually repetitive sound of the consonants in any sentence. Next figure of speech is imagery. Imagery means to use figurative language to represent objects, actions, and ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical senses. It means in this figure of speech, the words used in the language or in the figurative language, it opens 5 senses of our body, our physical senses, so that we can imagine all the things whatever is written in a poetry or in any literature, and in after reading we can visualize it. The children were screaming and shouting in the fields. By reading this sentence, you can feel that. The children are in the ground and they are screaming and shouting. Screaming and shouting appeal to our senses of hearing or auditory sense. It was dark and dim in the forest. The word dark and dim, it is used as a sentence, and we can, this affects our visual images. The words this dark and dim are visual images. Next figure of speech is anaphora. The deliberate repetition of the first part of the sentence in order to achieve an artistic effect is known as anaphora. Deliberate. Willingly, the poet adds some words, repetition of the words in the first part of the sentence to achieve an artistic effect, means to give an effect, impression while reading, and that is known as anaphora. You can see in the example, my life is my purpose, my life is my goal, my life is my inspiration. The use of my life in the sentence, it is anaphora, means repetition of the first part of the sentence. Everything looked dark and bleak, everything looked gloomy, and everything was under a blanket of mist. In all the 3 sentences, everything is used, everything looked. This is an example of anaphora. Now we will see what is rhyme scheme. A rhyme is a repetition of similar sounding words occurring at the end of lines in poems or songs. A rhyme is a tool utilizing repeating patterns that bring rhythm or musicality to poems. Here it is the repetition of same sound effect that is given in the lines of any poem or song, and when the pattern is repeated, rhythm is repeated, that is known as rhyme scheme. You can see in the example, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Now you can see first wall. In the first sentence, last word is wall. In the second, again Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. You can write it a, same repetition, same rhythm. Next, third line, all the king's horses and all the king's men. It is, you can write B, and couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. You can write it B. Here you can write rhythm of the poem becomes A, B, B. Now we will see the rhyme scheme in the next poem. Next example, Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. Next line, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. First line it is snow, and the second line it is go. You can write it here A and A. Both are same. In the third line, it followed her to school one day, which was against the rule. You can write here B. Next, it made the children laugh and play to see a lamp at school. It is again rule and school. Same, it is B. And so the teacher turned it out, but still it lingered near. You can write here C. And waited patiently about till Mary did appear. Near and appear, you can again write C. So the rhyme scheme in this poem becomes AABBCC. So this is about the rhyme scheme, means it is the pattern or the rhythm of the last word. It may be AABB, it may be AB, AB, it may be AABBCC, or in a different way. That is rhyme scheme. Now I think you all must have got the figure of speech and rhyme scheme of the English poems or literature, how it is used in the sentence, and how the poet and the authors make writing developed in a different way, so that the people are affected and they feel interested to read it. Thank you.